there, Daniel?
Hi, John.
All right, you're just doing a bit of horticultural there, yeah?
Something like that, yeah. My own version of it, yeah.
So for your obsession, Daniel, I think we're going to be talking about wildflowers and the medicinal qualities of wildflowers, which would be really fascinating. So, I mean, what first drew you towards that interest?
I've always been kind of interested in plants, and especially plants that just sort of grow around us, self-seeding plants, as well as plants that you can cultivate. And just particularly around this time when there's so much awareness, you know, boosting one's immunity and finding ways to help ourselves, you know. I started to watch my dog, Taka, who's always nibbling away at greens, weeds and things outside. And a few months back, she was eating these kind of like yellow daisies, and did a bit of research and found that it was fleabane. So looked into fleabane and found out that it was closely related to pyrethrum, which is it's like an insecticide. It's used in insecticides. So it kind of has this kind of anti-parasitic function. And I've got various friends who are interested in foraging, so started asking them about, you know, what's that? What's that? What does that do? And found that as well as having a lot of great nutritional qualities, there are a lot of very fast-acting anti-inflammatory, antiviral properties to some of these plants. I mean, I've had some kind of strange underlying issues going on with my abdomen over the past year. I think I may have eaten a poisonous mushroom, which can cause problems with the liver long term. But since doing this, I've pretty much flushed out any toxicity and kind of eradicated the problems I was having.
Which plants for that then?
Well, a combination of plants, but a lot of bitter greens. Bitter greens generally have the element of air. So if you think of the digestive tract as fire, it's like blowing air on fire. It gets things moving again. It gets the bile duct dilated. It moves the hydrochloric acid around, and it helps with any kind of damp or yeasty kind of buildup in the gut. And it also helps to move anything that's stored in the organs, such as any kind of grief or fear or anxiety, which the body does hold over long periods of time. I picked a few things here to show you.
You've got some plants there then. You could talk about
plants here. Yeah, I put my gloves on because a few of them are stingers.
I guess that means nettles then.
Oh yeah, well, we can do nettles. Nettles, there's some nettles here. And nettles are just incredible. They're like such an amazing source of vitamin C, like really high amounts of vitamin C, like gram for gram, the equivalent of 4 oranges in a patch of nettles. Even the stinging hairs, which are called tritones, they're like little hypodermic needles, and they inject neurotransmitters, various acids, and and serotonin, actually. I don't know if you ever recall falling in a patch of nettles, but once that's calmed down, you do feel an incredible sort of sense of elation. It's 40% protein. It's just incredible. I mean, in terms of the, I don't know if you've heard of the doctrine of signatures, but the doctrine of signatures was like a kind of an antiquated idea, kind of percolated by European mystics, people like Paracelsus and Jacob Böhm, that that things in nature that resemble the human body, aspects of the human body, can be used to treat ailments of those body parts. So in the case of nettles, because they have these stings, they have this kind of protective, kind of fortifying quality, which is exactly what it does for the immune system. It works incredibly well for various things, for diabetes, because it reduces glucose in the bloodstream, and very good. I mean, you know, there's lots of research for using nettles for prostate enlargement, things like this.
How do you prepare the nettle? I mean, I remember making nettle soup about 25 years ago, and I basically boiled them, but maybe that kills all what you're trying to get out of them as well. So is there a way of preparing it where you don't sting your mouth, but it also doesn't lose its properties?
Well, heating nettles does not actually diminish the properties. You can steam them, which is probably a better resolve if you don't want to lose a lot of nutrients in the hot water. Steaming is generally a better solution anyway. But sorry, did you see Taka vegetables?
Everybody's dog wants to get in on the act. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, okay.
Your dog's also managed to switch the camera on. Yeah. Oh, there you are. Back again.
Oh, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So steaming the nettle. Yeah.
He's a beautiful menace. Yeah, and just making a tea, like making a tea out of the. I mean, when nettles are young, they're not so stingy. You can just eat them straight. You can just take a snatch and eat them. But when they get a little bigger, it's better to dry them out and make a tea out of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, in our kitchen, we've got all sorts of herbs just hung upside down, suspended, just preparing for the winter months when our little wild friends won't be springing up quite so much. So another one has cropped up recently is this. This is mugwort, Artemisia vulgaris, named after the goddess of the moon. And again, this is incredibly potent. It was used in a lot of the indigenous shamanic cultures because it gives you very vivid dreams. So when a medicine man was looking for insight, he would drink tea from mugwort and wait for the response from the Divine Mother. You know, it's kind of a portal into the earth.
Is it hallucinogenic or is it a different effect?
Say again?
Is it hallucinogenic or is it a different kind of portal?
It is mildly psychoactive, yeah. It brings up a lot of, every time I've had it, it brings up a lot of kind of emotions for me. Its connection to the moon is interesting because it's so effective with parasites. It's used as in anti-parasitic formulas. And parasites have the largest effect on the body during the full moon. So again, doctrine of signatures, you know, the relationship to even the nomenclature, the name of this plant is indicative to its healing properties and where it works best.
So that's good one for emotional stress, or does it have physical things it does as well? It's
like all bitter greens. It's anti-inflammatory. It's an anti-inflammatory essentially. So if you have dampness in your gut, yeast condition, things like that, this combined with traditional ferments and positive, you know, healthy bacteria will get all that moving again. I mean, I did at the beginning of lockdown, I did some fasting. I fasted for a couple of days to remove toxicity, but also to just to feel empty. You know, it'd been a long time since I felt empty, and I wanted to sort of try each individual food group and see what the effect was on my body and see how it was affecting me. And just to sort of reestablish some sort of balance. And I was trying a lot of these plants while I was doing that. And this one here, this is mullen. You've probably seen this around. I mean, these things all just grow around, you know, they're considered weeds. I think that's kind of a derogatory term. They're so potent. The flowers on this is such a soothing, beautiful plant. It's like it likes to be near water. It's a bronchial cleanser, so very good for times like this, you know, when there's a pandemic around it, basically attacks our breathing functions. It's a lymphatic cleanser. Again, very much tied to our emotional faculties, because of the work it does on the lymphs. The lymph doesn't have a pump. The lymph is connected to the heart via the large superior vein. What is it? The vena cava, which drains blood from the upper body down into the heart, and this helps that function. But it's just very emotionally soothing. It's, again, anti-inflammatory. And again, doctrine of signatures, it has this, I don't know if you can see, but it has this soft, fuzzy texture. It looks like the ciliated kind of tissue inside the lungs and the breathing tract. So once again, another way that nature lets us know what it can be used for and how our symbiosis with them relates. And here, of course, I just picked some rosemary because, you know, rosemary is something everybody knows. Grows everywhere again. But again, bitter, gives air to the fire of the digestive tract. It's used as an antiseptic. It was burnt as a smudge during the plague. Bit like sage, similar kind of qualities. Improves circulation and therefore brain function. So incredibly potent everyday herbs. And I don't know, I've found that I've just found a little frog here.
Oh, like one of this year's. Yeah.
There's loads of them. They've all just, we had some tadpoles in the
Has it still got the little tail stub at the end?
Yeah, some of them still do. Some of them have lungs now, so we've had to set them free. But oh, he's got away. I'll leave him be. His 15 minutes is yet to come. Yeah. But yeah, I think just having this time, this sort of solitude, has been really good for just reconsecrating my relationship with what's around and what just grows around us. And especially, you know, at a point where everybody's looking for some sort of medicinal solution. I mean, I think just learning a little bit about plants, and listening to some good music and meditating and getting away from the sort of egoic kind of materialist paradigm, which is predicated on separateness, and come back to connection. And as soon as you open that door, it doesn't take long for you to realize that it's there, and it wants you to connect.
I mean, this is an example of it, because it's quite interesting, and I'm going to make a guess here that every plant, to a less than great extent, will have a quality that will help our health, and that's quite amazing, isn't it? That nature is all joined together. So even a nettle, which most people watch this probably think a nettle can actually make you feel better. It's quite incredible that everything has a knock-on effect.
Absolutely. I mean, some plants are definitely not there to help us, but they might be there to help other plants. You know, there's definitely a symbiosis between plants. Yeah, I just think, you know, I mean, even I just think in order to have a kind of an awakening, which is what everybody seems to be seeking at the moment, is just a change, a move away from this kind of regressive mentality. You start with just really small things. You start on the individual level. You know, you can't impose a big paradigm shift from your Instagram feed. You can try, you know, but I think just teaching yourself and learning about what's available and just being still and learning that, you know, that there's okay, so people say that, you know, again, this the kind of materialist paradigm says that nature is kind of a blind mechanism, right? That it just functions, it's not sentient, it's just like everything, it's just this chance assemblage of atomic particles. Well, beyond the ego, we are also a silent witness. You know, there's a side of us that's completely blind, if you want to call it blind, and the aspect of self that grasps onto identifications and possessions and knowledge to reassert itself is not real. That's just they're just thought forms. But outside of the thought forms is a stillness, and it's been there the whole time, and it's the same as the trees, it's the same as the plants, it's the same as the animals. So it's coming down to that level and finding things that bring you there. And plants can be really helpful in that way.
What's in it for the plants? I mean, it's great that all these plants can help sort of conditions that we've got. But what are we doing for them, you know, apart from occasionally not chopping them all down?
Well, it's funny you say that, because even when we chop them all down, that creates, sometimes that creates the right conditions for new plants to grow. You know, in decay is the nitrogen and the nutrients in the soil that helps things grow. What's that old proverb? Something like even manure contributes to the scent of the rose. But what can we do for the plants? Well, we can just start to offer a bit of gratitude and a bit of reverence, especially for the kind of the you know, the guys that are just sort of hanging around that tend to get ignored, like nettles and weeds and things, goosegrass, things like that. Actually, I've got to mention my friend Peter, because he's taught me a lot about plants. He's been foraging for quite a long time, and he pointed this one out to me, which is called herb robber. It's got these really cute little pink flowers, otherwise known as stinky bob, because they say that it smells, but it doesn't. It smells delightful, I think. And again, it's got these little bristles on it, but it's really good for cleaning the liver, kidneys, gallbladder. Really nice in a tea, really good chopped up in a salad. This is everywhere. As soon as he pointed this out to me, I was like, oh, this is, you know, so abundant.
100% no plants. Yeah, it's along every canal in Manchester. Yeah.
Right. Pick a bunch. Yeah, it's great.
This is it a deliberate symbiosis, a beautiful balance between plants and animals, or all these chemicals these plants have in them, they're there for different functions, but coincidentally they help with us? I mean, which one do you believe?
I don't think any kind of real conviction or belief is necessary. It's more being a willing observer of how they interrelate, and when you how to put this, basically everything. I believe that everything is conscious. Trees are conscious, animals are conscious, plants are conscious, water is conscious, everything is conscious. Even things when they're in a state of decay, a state of putrefaction, they're conscious. They are in a state of perpetual transformation, and that's the only kind of truth that I can get behind. I don't know enough about chemistry, biochemistry. I don't know enough about plants. I just like sort of going for walks. I love being outside, and it just kind of it brings a great sense of gratification to also have a bit of a nibble while I'm strolling around. And it's good for you too. And if things go south, I'll kind of know what I can eat and what I can survive on. And you know, that's useful information for us all to have. You know, if Māyā, if illusion gets the better of us, and if all of the, you know, economic and financial and political systems that are completely dependent on us being separate from one another in a physical sense, which is of course very necessary at this time, but you do wonder, you know, what their overall prerogative is. Finding natural systems that are completely interlocked, interdependent, and finding our place inside that system.
So this is not just, I mean, it's fascinating talk, and it's really interesting. There's actually a big lesson here, the interconnectedness of everything, human beings to each other, human beings to nature, plants to animals, animals to plants. Is music the magical art that somehow joins all these dots together? There's an interconnectedness sometimes with music.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, you know, I mean, you hear music all the time, and actually, you know, just going out for a walk and munching on plants, you know, that's the time where I get most inspired, and that usually a plant will have a kind of a subtle message for you. And often for me, because I relate to the world through music, it comes in the form of tonality and melody and things like this. And when I think about musicians that I really love, that have this kind of universal cosmic consciousness, someone like Bill Evans, or someone like that, you know, who had this really deep sense of equanimity between harmony, melody, rhythm, everything locked together. The left hand and the right hand on the piano being indistinguishable. Again, it's this kind of coming together, this sort of symbiosis I'm really interested in. Yeah, so the plants and nature and animals, my dog, you know, everything around me inspires the music. It's nice for me to kind of ruminate on the things that give it life, the air blown onto the fire, you know.
Well, oh, you disappeared. Your dog come back.
Oh, sorry, my battery's low now.
That's okay. Literally being in tune with nature, you could say.
Yeah, exactly.